Hello. Are we live? Oh, I didn't see it. I'm not seeing the thing. Sorry. I have no idea what's happening right now. You're muted, Clay. I can't.
Son of a bit. Okay, so I was playing the Mad Men intro.
Oh, okay.
And then I was just like, oh, okay, so it's play. I'll have that play, and then we'll go live. And then you started talking. I'm like, we should be muted.
Yeah.
We should be
No,
muted.
I'm sorry. Did I screw it up?
No.
Okay. Well, I
I
didn't see the intro on my end, so I thought we had gone live. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Oh, okay. We need Daniel to run things.
Yes,
Obviously,
exactly.
I'm terrible at this. But welcome everyone.
You did great. You did great, Clay.
We are the last two supporting the show. Kyle's out sick, and Daniel is fighting Darkseid, I believe.
I believe so, and winning.
You know what? I would love to just spread the rumor. Daniel is consulting with Zack Snyder on the Snyderverse, and
he absolutely getting that rumor. Yeah,
he brought in a notebook on just Darkseid alone.
Yeah, we should get that rumor going because that definitely feels like that's going to happen.
Daniel's title is consultant to Zack Snyder about Apocalypse.
Snyderverse consultant.
Yes.
and he's just carrying his Blu-ray copy of Zack Snyder's.
He just wakes it up and has it float by. Yeah, because I'm really bad at this. Like, I'm trying to where are overlays? Where's all the stuff that I'm used to running? And it's like, is it in this one? I don't know.
I know nothing about StreamYard, so other than how to get in and show you guys my beautiful face. So
that
oh yeah.
There were some banners I had. There was just so much that I'm like going, where did I put that? And now it's like, fuck it, let's just talk. So you want to start with Darkseid, or do you want to get into previously on and let's go through our stuff we've watched and read?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I could go through my stuff pretty quickly, and that'll give me time to keep pontificating Darkseid.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm just going to trust you to run it because I don't see any of your books in the show notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Well, do you want to do like one and one, or do you want me to just go through mine and then you go through yours? Or
we can go back and forth one and one.
Okay.
Do that.
All right, sounds good. So, again, I'm doing a bit of catch up this week, and so some of these are not new, but books I'm continuing to read that kind of came back. I just want to talk about the end of Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead.
I thought that cover was brave.
Oh, it's an excellent cover. Which this was, I think, the default cover actually. But man, just such a fun book. Again, I would say I don't think Bruce Campbell is a writer is doing anything innovative here, and I don't mean that as a slight. I just mean that I think he knows what he wants and he's just going for it. It is a funny, violent. Basically, this last issue is just the I want to see someone beat the shit out of Hitler that we've all wanted in comics for 80 years, right?
That's a tough one because I feel like Quentin Tarantino did the best version of let's fuck up Hitler.
And that's my problem is I still haven't seen Inglourious Bastards. I need to. I know. It's this giant hole in my film watching experience. So.
Okay. I want to give you an incentive to watch it.
Okay.
There is a character in the film called the Jew Bear, and he's played by Eli Roth.
Oh, right. Okay.
The original casting for that was Adam Sandler. Now go watch Inglourious Bastards.
Wow. Holy crap. Okay. But anyway, just a super fun book. Again, I would say if the art had not been by Eduardo Risso, I probably would not have stuck with it. But
Oh,
Risso is incredible, and they are a perfect fit for this story.
really?
Oh, so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
just really
He just reminds me of 100 Bullets, so I'm thinking dark, gritty crime. But he turns war. He turns the oh shit.
yeah. Yeah. It's great. It's really good. So, and it kind of and I want to give them props. It ends on a note of maybe there could be another series, but I also don't know if Campbell just knows his Sergeant Rock history and he's just setting up kind of a canonical approach,
Oh,
right?
really? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know my Sergeant Rock history, but it kind of ends on a I don't want to spoil anything. It kind of ends on a
At a
setting up
cabin in the
future.
woods.
Oh, wait, no, thank God.
No
No,
Evil
like
Dead reference.
setting up future adventures, but with
Okay.
a slightly different tone. No, I take that back. Same tone. Anyway, I just don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, definitely. Now that it's done, and I'm sure it's going to be collected pretty soon. Um, go check it out. I mean, it's just a fun read. So, Dark Side, you nerds.
Hail Darkseid.
Thank you, Danny. Um,
We need you here to run the show. I don't know what I'm doing. This is terrible.
I'm no I'm no help. I'm sorry. Do you want to do one now or
Yeah. I I read the well. I got Hellcat. I didn't know who the author was.
okay? Tell because that's in my pile. So this is my unread pile. And I also got Hellcat because I love the premise.
Yeah. And it's set up quite a bit that I'm kind of curious to see play out. It's it seems that like it's a murder mystery with a reintroduction of Hellcat, pulling bits of her history into it. If you saw the character on Jessica Jones, it has bits of that in
Oh,
reference to her mother. She was a teen star. Her mother kind of controlled her. But the cool thing in this is her mother's dead, but she's a ghost, and all Hellcat stuff that's been in the comic book that hasn't been in the TV show is supernatural. So she
oh,
lives with her mother's ghost.
oh my God!
And then do you remember a character named Sleepwalker?
Yes, and that's literally why I picked this up. But please go on.
He
I
shows
love
up in here,
Sleepwalker.
and the first issue kind of sets the stage. I wasn't sure because I didn't know the author, but I dug the art and I like the premise so far. So she is going to try to solve this mystery with the help of Sleepwalker, of this person that she may or may not have killed.
Man, I have to tell you, when I read the description of this, I was so torn because first off, anytime a new series is starting, it's like builds off of this storyline or this author returning to their approach, and I'm always like, well, shit, I never read that, right? But then I
Yeah.
saw Supernatural Murder Mystery, so one antenna went up, and then the other one was they mentioned Sleepwalker, and I'm like, oh, I'm in. I love. I, Maybe it's just me or the time period it came out. I loved Sleepwalker as a series, like as a character. I always dug it.
I
And
love the art, but I've never read him.
the and I
So,
think it was the art was Blevins. Is that right?
oh, that sounds right. Yeah. Brett
Okay.
Blevins,
Yeah.
who did a lot of New Mutants. Like he really knows
Yes.
how to
Yes.
draw.
Exactly. Yep.
The
Totally.
thing I remember about Blevins is when he did New Mutants, he knew how to draw kids. Like a lot of the times, New Mutants would always appear and look like adults, and he could really make them look like they were teenagers.
Yep. Yep. Oh, so good, man. Oh, there he is, Sleepwalker. Anyway,
Yes.
now,
So
uh,
I just I hadn't read a Hellcat book in a long time. I had binged the Hellstrom series on Hulu and kind of dug it. Just really kind of the main characters. I would love to see them show up, and I wish they would do more supernatural stuff. Like I know we do the big cosmic events, but we've gotten into Multiverse of Madness. I play with some of the supernatural shit. We've got
Yeah.
Moon Knight. We've got just stuff that just the coolest sandbox
Right.
of stuff. The weird. I want to see the weird shit. I want to see a jack-o'-lantern. I want to see I want to
That
see him show up and go, why does he exist? And just have a cool ass story for a guy who rides around in a broom with a pumpkin head.
I have not thought about jack-o'-lantern in literally a decade. So that's amazing.
Well, I have the action figure, and I always just go, when's he going to show up? Like, he's an easy cartoon character to do, but make a live action that makes me believe that actor is in there playing a jack-o'-lantern. And I think at one point there's like 3 different versions of jack-o'-lantern. I believe one of them is like a government agent, which is even
That's
like,
yeah, that's kind of what that's like the mid 80s era jack-o'-lantern. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I want to say maybe 90s because that's when everything got really weird. You could just do whatever you wanted.
Oh, okay.
But I recommend Hellcat. I mean, for the first issue, I'm into it art wise, and it's pretty gory. Like they show the murder scene and don't hold back. Like I would say it is grosser than probably any page you have in that Undead book.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
I may have to take you up on that because it gets pretty gory, but like I would just say this. The culmination of the fight involves a grenade and Hitler's mouth. So,
I'm disappointed it's just his mouth.
Well, it's what happens after that. You have to really theorize. All right, well here, I'll do another one that I read. And that of course is Fantastic Four #5. I think I hopped onto our Discord after.
Yeah, y'all were hyping this book big time.
Dude, this book is so much fun. It is just, it's like I can't help but feel like who's the writer? I keep
is it
Ryan North? Yeah. I feel like Ryan North sat down and looked at the past 20 years of Fantastic Four, probably, most notoriously Hickman, and just thought, where's the fun in this, right? Like it's just all so cerebral, and man, it just doubles down on the fun. I mean,
really? Okay.
There is a moment in this where the whole team is trying to protect Reed because he's using his fingers to map out a 4th dimensional spell. I mean, it's just like, I love this so much. It is just super fun. It is a great book. It's, again, once it gets collected, it's the kind of book that if someone says, who is this Fantastic Four? This will be the one I hand them because it nails everything about it, but also brings it up to date, right? You're not handing them the OG run and, they have to explain to the reader why Sue Storm is a critical part of the team, this just, it gets everything. It's so great. Yeah. So if you just want to, and actually that'll probably be my theme for the day. It's just fun books. I keep going back to that, but anyway, yeah.
Fantastic. I love that version to read on the cover.
Yes. Which all the covers so far are Alex Ross, and he's also been doing some of the B covers as well. So this one I think was a super, or wait, maybe this was the B cover. This was the B cover. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
The A cover, again by Ross, but it had a slightly different take. So yeah. So anyway, Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I read the end of Secret Invasion. Another Ryan North book.
I didn't realize that was North.
It's weird. Like, I wanted to get back into Secret Invasion. I wanted to read the original. Let me put this up here. And so this book is really a Maria Hill show. It's
wow.
It's Maria Hill. It's It's Nick Fury. The book opens and it hooks you because this family calls Nick Fury and to report that they have a scroll, and it's just the darkest thing. When I think about Ryan North, I always go to Squirrel Girl. That was a book he wrote that Shelby
Right.
loves, and so I always think that fun book. This book opens so dark. In the first issue, this family reports that they have a scroll, and Nick Fury shows up, and it's the father of the family is dead in their home, and they're like, "That's not him. Our father's really alive. This guy's a scroll." So it's just these people not living in reality.
Oh my
Is kind
god.
of the theme that it starts with. And so I was like, holy, I mean, and that's like the first few pages. So it really like kind of like pulls you in of like, okay, wait a minute, who do people just think if someone's dead or if they can't deal with something, oh, they're a scroll, and that's how
Right.
they kind of deal with reality. So you hear him and Maria Hill talking. Then it kind of, I mean, from 1 to 5, there it's you need to read it all together because month to month it was really difficult. When I
Okay.
get sent to the 5th issue and read through it, I go, this is really a Maria Hill book. This is why Nick Fury trusts her and what
Nice.
she does,
That's
because
awesome.
lays out she lays out a plan that is so like, because you have to have two secret agents who have to trust each other 100%. And how do they do that? Like, because they both get captured by the scrolls, and the scrolls know every technology of like, we'll test you to make sure you're not, fake, you're not a robot, all this other crap and stuff. And so he's able to like lay it out pretty decently, but it has to be read together because there's so much happening in it. I'm glad it wasn't an event book and just a mini. I'm glad that, because when you get to the end, there's a lot of stuff that pays off. But if it was spread out over a bunch of books, I would have been pissed, because
Okay.
then you would go back and go, okay, well, this was a scroll and this wasn't a scroll. He has fun with the concept, and that's what pays off in here. And it's Maria Hill sums it up at the end of, it's not about a people, it's about certain people. Like,
Oh.
and but it sets up, again, we're setting up the second secret invasion when it gets to the end. So I don't know 100% if they're going to go with it, but basically, since with what happens at the end of this book, the super scrolls show up. So it's really the end, but it sets up a next thing.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
so
I
if you
wonder if he's going to tie that into this then. I mean, because when I think Super Scroll, I think FF, right?
yeah,
Um, so does this series, is it yet another one of these redoings of a classic story, or is it building off of the original Secret Invasion event?
it's really just kind of its own thing.
Okay.
It's really I mean, it's a spy story. Who do you trust? Who do you know? In a world of scrolls who can imitate anyone, and when they do imitate a character, 50% of the DNA is that character. So
Okay.
how do you trust them, and how do you infiltrate? How do you conquer? And it's the Maria Hill playbook. And I
Okay.
think that, that's what kind of gets me excited about the TV show coming, because it is essentially going to be a spy story. And how do you trust anyone who can change into anything?
Yep.
And I've thrown this out there to people who watch the MCU movies. They introduced the Skrulls in the 90s. So that was Captain Marvel. So
Yep.
anybody could be a Skrull from Captain Marvel up to now,
Yep.
and we just not know. And I mean, I feel like, spoilers for the original Secret Invasion event, when Hawkeye, in the original Secret Invasion, Hawkeye had him and Mockingbird had been divorced and had gone
Okay.
through this thing, and it turns out she was a Skrull. Yeah, like there's this whole ship full of people who return to
Oh.
Earth in that book, that and Bobby Morse, Mockingbird, gets off the ship and he sees his real wife. And so he's just really, one of the
Man.
most jacked up characters having to deal with that kind of thing because he divorced a Skrull who he thought was his wife, but his wife was in space and it just messed him up. So there are elements like that. And I go, there's no way they would do that to the real Hawkeye in the movies. Like when they snapped and they took his wife away,
his whole
and now
family,
that would be that would fucking wreck his character. What if his whole family came back, but they were just Skrulls?
right.
Then that means like every time we saw them after Endgame, like the whole Hawkeye series, they were Skrulls. And what does it do to a man who lost his whole family and turned into Ronin to lose his family a second time?
Yep.
I mean, that would be insane story to tell. But I'm just trying to tie the comics to the movies to see like how would that play out and what would it do to the characters.
So here's something I'd not thought of because you've brought up before about how Captain Marvel introduced the Skrulls in the 90s, right? And for me, the hurdle was always, okay, but what happened during the snap? But as we're talking, what if the Skrulls that survived during the snap on Earth become somebody else because that person is gone, right?
Yeah, like you could, like, let's say you're just imitating like a regular civilian because you want to exist on
Exactly.
Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, they've
They just
introduced
take over their identity because they got snapped away, right?
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, they're dealing with Skrulls who like are refugees. That's essentially the way they've introduced them.
and so when they return, shit hits the fan. And I wonder if God, that'd be the perfect way to start off the show, right? Is you have a Skrull like who assumes someone's identity, and then that person like walks into their home, like, oh fuck, right? Like, I have to get out of here. So
I mean, the fun ones we'll never get. We'll never see a Skrull impersonate Iron Man. We'll never see, because we won't have Robert Downey Jr. return. We won't have Chris Evans return. But it would be fun to see a couple of Skrulls show up as like, Cap and Iron Man, and then just turn back into Skrulls. Like, give everyone kind of that hope that they're coming to the movies, and then just shit on it with the villains.
That'd be amazing. Oh man,
I think it would suck though if they introduced a character like, let's say, Beta Ray Bill, and then made him a Skrull. Like that would just, as a fan, that would crush me.
Yeah.
But I keep trying to think. It's always going to be a callback to another character, I feel like.
That makes sense. That makes sense because it's the perfect way, I think, from a storytelling standpoint, right, to get the audience hyped and then kind of turn it on them. So
yeah.
Well, speaking of Iron Man and Cap, I'll do two real quick. I'm continuing to read Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty. I probably should go back and give Symbol of Truth another try. I just, that initial story never hooked me, and this one did. This was just great. I mean, this one has it finally resolves the multiple issue, I don't want to say arc, well, I guess arc, with the new MODOK. And by new, I mean he, instead of a K, it's a C at the end. And there's a reason for it that I won't spoil, but they finally resolved that. And then the OG MODOK with a K appears.
For Killing versus C. What is the C? I hope now that we've seen his ass, it isn't about his ass clapping.
It is not about his ass clapping, although I kind of wish it was the case.
Mental organism designed only for clapping.
He's going to need a bigger ass if that's the case.
I don't know, man. You got that CGI MODOK. I would, if I was one of those animators, I would be making so many fucking fun videos of that weird ass body MODOK.
It's got to exist somewhere, like in the FX studio.
Yeah.
And then so that's Cap. And it's I wouldn't say fun. It's not necessarily a fun story, but it's an interesting story. And they're bringing back the Invaders. There's a new version of the Invaders. Anyway, it's just a good, solid book. And then speaking of Iron Man, I read the first issue of I Am Iron Man. I thought I would give this a try. It's great. It's fun. And again, I want to give props to comic creators who create a single issue story. I can hand this to anyone and they don't have to know. I mean, other than just basically knowing who Iron Man is. And it does kind of help to know a little bit of his history. So like different moments in Iron Man's life show up here.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, like you hit the end and you're done. Right?
Oh,
Like
perfect.
it's not setting up a whole like story that crosses over into multiple titles, and it's just like boom, you're done. And even at the end, they're sort of like, all right, that's kind of our approach. And so they give you a hint of what's going to happen in the next issue. But this felt almost like a classic pilot episode, right?
Oh, okay.
That just it sets up tone, it sets up characters, but I don't think if you pick up issue 2, I don't think you're going to need this issue to know what's going on. So,
okay.
And I just want to give props to creators that do that, because I feel like that's not the norm in the comics industry these days. So,
and that's Jerry Duggan, right? He's writing that book.
But no, it's 2 creators I'd never heard of. It is and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce. It's Marewa Ayadel. Ooh, I butchered that. I am so sorry. And then Doten Akande. Yeah. So just I'd never heard of them, but they did a fantastic job. I just want to give props. And there is some amazing art in here. I just want to point out this sequence in particular. He's fighting these like large sort of synthoid things. Yeah. And he's just standing there as it runs at him, and then he doesn't move, and it basically, like, as it kicks him, it knocks his foot off, which I just thought was kind of cool. Damn. So anyway, yeah, really, really good. And again, I apologize for totally butchering your names. I'm really sorry.
I read Avengers Forever 15.
Nice.
I got the variant cover.
Ooh, that's a nice cover.
Yeah, the I guess they're 8-bit characters.
Yep.
Great variant cover. Regular cover is fucking incredible. I love Aaron Cooter. His art is so great, and I love him and Jason Aaron together. Like, I love that team up. It's becoming my new Morrison Quietly. Like, ooh, that, yeah, nice. Like, okay, to that level.
Wow, that's awesome.
And this book is one of my favorite reads. This is my recommend. This is my favorite book. I mean, like, I know I've talked about 8 Billion Genies as being a fantastic book. This is up there because this is fun. This is so much fun. I love every time I pick up this issue what they're dealing with. And it's Avengers Forever is essentially the Avengers of the multiverse. It is okay. And it starts off with the All Rider, not the Ghost Rider, but the Ghost Rider that we know, the current one, is also called the All Rider, as Odin refers to him. Because because he the consultant for the Avengers in you go, and now I'm gonna go back and forth between Avengers and Avengers Forever. In Avengers, when they put the Avengers back together, it's being run by T'Challa. Ooh. And his consultant is Odin. And so it's just really cool to see. Yeah.
Who thinks of, I need a consultant, Odin? I mean, like, is he going to put it on his business cards? Like,
oh my God.
Here? I love it.
but because this version of Odin is the one of the original Avengers, and it goes to
shit, that's right. And so was the OG Black Panther, right? Okay,
yes,
this makes sense.
And
now.
So if you're reading the Avengers title with Jason Aaron, he introduces the Avengers of like the beginnings of Earth. So you have Odin, you have like Phoenix, you have Black Panther, you have the Iron Fist, and these are the original first versions of them. Wow. So if you're reading the Avengers book by Jason Aaron, it pays off in there and it's great. If you go to Avengers Forever, it's so magical and fun because he plays with the multiverse in such a fun way. In the Avengers book, you find out Ghost Rider, he becomes an Avenger, becomes the All Rider because he's able to go into a Celestial and start it up.
Oh,
And
my.
runs a celestial. So there's like this epic battle.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's just so much fun. I read this one issue. It made me go back to Jason Aaron's Avenger run, read his first 2 volumes, then write him a tweet that just said how much I loved his work, because it's just the best. Like, he puts the team together in the first volume with just Cap, Iron Man, and Thor getting together, saying that we're not going to put the team back together. And then he has like Ghost Rider fighting She-Hulk. He has to throw She-Hulk in the trunk of the car, which is a gateway to hell. There's every kind of piece of that car is fun. She trashes his car at one time, but Jennifer Walters is dealing with her character. She's not able to control She-Hulk as well as when she hulks out, her mental capacity is diminished. But then she also encounters a celestial that reaches out to her, that affects her mind and is able to communicate, because the celestials start falling from the sky in Avengers.
Oh my God.
And it's because there is a celestial called the Last Host, a group of them that has killed these celestials. So like these giant figures are falling into cities, and that sets up the Avengers. And Avengers Forever, it's the multiverse of them. So you get the All Rider, and he's with Deathlock, but this version of Deathlock is Miles Morales from another universe,
which was in the Avengers, the Savage Avengers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they go through the multiverse, and I believe this is going to end with the next issue. It seemed like. I know. Okay. I mean, I should look, but it's just like there's my favorite book in this entire run is probably there's a Captain America issue where there are Steves from the multiverse.
Okay.
And they're all the Steves that never were quite the Steve Rogers of 616.
Interesting.
But what if you had an army of Steves?
Please tell me they're called the Army of Steves. Are they? That's I love it. I love it.
Yeah. What if Carol? You had Carol Danvers from all the different multiverses who never quite became the Carol Danvers of 616, and they were called the Carol Corps.
Wow.
And I mean, it's just so fun. Like, he just takes everything great in Marvel and makes it a cool story, and the art in it is fantastic. Whether it's Aaron Kuder doing it on Avengers Forever or Ed McGuinness doing it in the Avengers book, it's my favorite thing. Like I read his Thor run and loved it. This is 10 times better, and his Thor run is up there with Simonson.
Yeah, I was like,
Simonson, or get the fuck out.
I know. I was like, wait, I've said that, and I almost said Sienkiewicz. I'm like, it's not Sienkiewicz. Oh my God, that's amazing, and that kind of makes me want to go back, and because I think I first discovered Aaron when after Disney bought Marvel and they brought back the Star Wars comics, and he started working on the Star Wars comics, and he was so good at them.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go back and reread those as well. All right. Well, I got 2 more.
Okay.
I was really happy to see that Kyle Starks and God, I cannot say his name. Artyom Topolin had returned with I Hate This Place.
Okay.
And I have such weird OCD that I had not bought the alternate Fuck This Place covers, but now that this is the start of the next story, I guess, or the next, sequence, I decided to get it. I'm getting I'm getting very strong Preacher vibes from this.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like
that's a big bar, man.
Well,
it's a high bar.
Specifically, it's the fact that these characters up top are the family of her, and they show up unexpectedly, and shit hits the fan. And when you start getting more information about what she had to deal with growing up, again, that's what makes me really have those, that like second storyline in Preacher kind of thing. So, but it's great. Continues to be good. Just a phenomenal book. I cannot wait. This, I feel like this will translate so well to TV.
Oh,
And I
okay.
can't wait because I believe it's already been picked up or optioned. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens with it. And then I had planned to read this just based on the description, and then Danny in our Discord basically said, "Josh, you've got to get this," and that is Superman Lost #1.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear the setup on this.
Okay, so here's the thing: I am a sucker for any good hook, especially a hook with a mystery. That's kind of why I wanted Hellcat as well, right?
Yeah.
The hook on this is just unbelievable. So here and it happens in the first few pages. Like the first few pages are Lois and Clark waking up and just having like a normal morning. And then Clark says, "Oh, I've got to go like take care of something," right? Like Superman stuff. Lois kind of like falls asleep at her desk, and then for just like a few minutes, and then like wakes up, and Clark as Superman is standing right there, and he's kind of unresponsive. So she's walking around, she's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yes, sorry, I'm back." And then there's a knock at the door, and she goes and answers the door, and it's Bruce Wayne. And he looks over and sees Clark, and he's like, "Oh shit." And basically, the hook is Superman's been gone for 20 years. But for the time on Earth, it's been a matter of minutes.
Whoa.
That's the hook. And I was like, "Oh, I love this so much." So I don't want to
Who's
spoil
writing this?
It is, hang on, I'll tell you. Oh, it's Priest.
Oh, okay.
Who I adore. Yeah, Priest is writing it. The art, which is really good, and the plot, I should point out, is Carlo Pagulayan. I am so bad at names, you
So
guys.
he's been gone 20 years. Bruce
20
finds
years.
out.
Yep. It's, man, I don't know. It's really,
I'm gonna check that out. I didn't
yeah.
have to wait for it to be collected, but I'm gonna check that out.
Next issue is going to be the thing for me, because if I get to the next issue and it feels like this needs to be read collected, I may just wait. You know, Danny said this gave him a lot of Batman Fortress vibes, and Batman Fortress read great month to
Okay.
month. So I'm kind of curious if this will do the same. But yeah, just I love a great hook like that. Like I will always get sucked into a story when it has that kind of hook. So
All right. Let's see here. I will jump into some of the movies I've been watching. Do you got any more comics? Are you good? Uh-oh, something going on at your house?
yeah, sorry, there was a sound of something falling. I had to check on it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, I mean I got stuff that I've bought but I haven't read yet. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
What about watching? You watching anything?
You know, I really have not been, even though it's been spring break. I haven't really been watching much at all.
Yeah.
We're about to start based on the video game Pedro Pascal.
Oh, yeah. All of us. Last of Us.
Last of Us. Thank you. So my wife and I are about to start that. But other than that, I mean, I'm continuing to watch Night Court. This week's episode sucked. I mean, it was painfully bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of hoping it's just like a weird anomaly, because they're always, I mean, they're never like, there's maybe been one like super good one, right? They're usually like, meh, whatever.
It's nostalgic.
Yeah.
Most of all, the
Yeah.
format is old comedy sitcom format. So if the comedy doesn't reach that, then you're just riding on nostalgia.
Well, and I think also part of it was so they've had this running kind of subplot about Abby's fiance, Rand. And Rand still lives in upstate. She came down for the job. They finally introduced Rand in this episode, and I didn't really know the actor. He's a comedian, but he was awful. Like, and I don't know if maybe he just doesn't have the chops for kind of classic comedy or not, but he was not good. And so the scenes between him and I'm blanking on her name.
Pete Holmes.
Yeah, Pete Holmes.
Okay, I know him.
Okay, so just like the way that he acted with the actress that plays Abby, it all felt very forced and artificial, and that kind of carried through the whole episode. So it was, I just got done. It's like, oh man, that was a bad episode. So I don't know. Anyway,
I can't believe you don't know Pete Holmes. He used to do this bit on his show about X-Men, like EX-Men, and he would do a sketch. I feel like I need to pull up one. There's a Nightcrawler one, and I feel like I'm gonna hate it if I watch it. But there's a Gambit, Wolverine, and Cyclops. Okay, no. I'm gonna pull up the Nightcrawler one, and we'll watch it real quick.
All right,
because it looks like it's as soon as YouTube drops us for
for copyright.
Yeah, let's see here. X-Men outtakes. Okay, share. Let's.
Oh my god.
Can you hear it okay?
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. Yeah. You're gross. When you teleport, it smells very bad. You just crop dust the whole team. Lansbury.
Yes, of course, she's one of my favorites.
Mark, you look like whale diarrhea. You look like you've been out on the set of a porno all day where unwashed men and women were grinding in a hot tub filled with recycled lube.
It's a joke that I do understand.
I feel like if camp children said moist 6 times into a mirror, you would appear.
What is this mirror 3 times?
It's a film called Candyman.
Candyman-Spieler? What is the reference to?
Candyman?
Yeah, Candyman-Spieler. You can just look into the room and say, Candyman-Spieler, 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 Candyman-Spieler. He comes out and gives them treats.
I don't know what movie you're referencing. Probably in some theater where people can still smoke and there's a donkey playing the piano.
Bill and Austin. What is the problem, Professor? You are focusing merely on my moistness. Professor, you established this mansion as a haven for us mutants.
That is a fair point.
It's a good Nightcrawler.
What I'm saying
It's good.
Gross.
He's got the German
And you
accent
are
at least.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I try to see who the actor is.
Yeah, I can't tell.
And you're fired.
I understand. Good day. Wait, what was the...
I love it. It's making me sad.
Okay.
I mean, all of that was way funnier than any moment he had on screen in Night Court. So I feel bad like ragging on him, but it was just such an awful episode.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah, but it's old comedy. Like it's the old setup joke, and they even have the audience, the canned laughter.
Laugh track. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Other than that, not really watching much.
Yeah, I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Nice.
For my other podcast with Mark, I'm doing 2009, and I had tried to watch Fantastic Mr. Fox before and shut it off. Like I shut it off like 5-10 minutes in. I was out quickly, and after watching it, Shelby wanted to watch it again, and we went through it, and it paid off. It is good. It's a lot better, but the thing I think that put me out was George Clooney.
Really?
Because this is when you want to get into the debate of actors voicing characters versus voice actors working.
Okay.
Because he's just George Clooney. Like, but Shelby points out, like, but his delivery and his character, it matches, the Fantastic Mr. Fox. So it really works. But I was so I'm like researching the film to talk about it on the other podcast, and it's just such a bummer to read about the Roald Dahl. The reason he wrote this, like he had lost one of his kids. His second kid had been hurt in a car accident and had like water on the brain.
Oh God.
And so that's why the Fantastic Mr. Fox is the protector. Like he's the protector of the family and the whole thing. So I'm watching it just kind of bummed out by reading that the whole time.
Yeah, understandably. I didn't know any of that. So
yeah, but it's done really well. I read all the Wes Anderson details and like what he does, because it does have kind of this broken family that kind of works through things, and it has his cast of usual characters. Owen Wilson's in there. Jason Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman may have the best voice acting chops in the bunch.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, what I always found interesting about, and again, I haven't seen Isle of Dogs, but when Wes Anderson does animation, he kind of doesn't want voice actors, right? Because the Wes Anderson style is very subdued.
Yeah.
So I can see why he and to me George Clooney is perfect for that, right? Because he can be very subdued. I mean, he can be very funny, but he's never over the top.
Yeah. That probably the greatest find of anything in this was that there are Wes Anderson. There's like a Wes Anderson internet army of people that take his shit real seriously, because one of the things I read was that his DP was had been interviewed and said, well, one of the issues he had to deal with was Wes wasn't on set all the time. Right. He would be in Paris and he would film himself with his phone and say, this is how I want this scene to move, and send it to him. And he would work on it. And so I guess it got written up on the internet and made it sound like he was a difficult director. And that's not what he was saying. He was just like, when you're doing animation, you may have like a whole, but they said at one point there was like over 20, I think it was 28 different scenes being shot. So it's like, you can do different things at different times.
Yeah.
And so, then there was an interview. Someone asked Wes Anderson, like, hey, your DP had said this comment that you weren't available. And he's like, look, I'm not even going to address that because that's not what he said, Right. And so then it gets back to this other guy, it gets back to the DP, and the DP goes, look, let's set the record straight. Like, I've worked with 100 directors. Some have more passion than him. A lot have less passion than him. But in the end, sometimes you work in situations, and this is the situation we have. But I'm not complaining about it. We obviously work well together, and now maybe the death threats will stop.
Oh my God.
And I was like there are like Wes Anderson addicts like that would threaten the guy who he actually likes and uses, and with death threats. It's amazing.
This is why we don't deserve the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other interesting thing was the internet had claimed that the Meryl Streep role, who was playing Mrs. Fox, was originally supposed to be Cate Blanchett, because he had offered it to her on the set of
Royal Tenenbaums or
Steve Zissou.
Life
Aquatic. Yeah. And he got quoted on that. He goes, I talked to her on the set one day. Like, that's all I ever said to her about it. And he goes, it was never offered to her. He goes, it got put on a cast list on the internet and sat there for a long time. So people thought that she had left the project. So just even a misstatement got blown up on the internet. And it was interesting to see that. But I'll probably talk about it way more depth on Unsocial Spectators with Mark.
Nice.
Because the other 2009 movie we watched after this was Crank 2 High Voltage with fucking Jason Statham. I got to ask, though, because I know the answer to this. Have you seen Crank or Crank 2? Oh, my God.
No, sorry. I know of them.
Okay.
I know the basic plot, at least of Crank, right?
Yes.
But no, never seen a single Crank movie.
Fucking fantastic.
Except for the name I give grumpy old men. So
it was so Crank. The basis of Crank is that. Oh God.
Yeah, like I know. Go ahead. I guess I know the basic plot. So
I went to Crank 2 because I go. They explain Crank 1 like pretty much in the first few minutes because the ending of Crank 1 is Jason Statham dies, and you go, how do you do a sequel when he dies? And they spend the first 15 minutes trying to validate, and they keep saying over and over, it's very strange you fell out of a plane and didn't just die. And he's like, oh no, I saw a video on the internet where a guy fell out of a plane and he was fine. Like they explain the bad premise of the film in ways to make it, you understand that it's good.
Oh,
but
good Lord. But
Shelby goes, she couldn't watch it. She was like, because it's shot by these guys who at the time were using, they basically were doing these kinds of new cool shots that people hadn't done yet. So the cameras were real close. They could get into small spaces. They were using these cheaper homebrew cameras that had high def quality.
Oh, okay.
So they could take a bunch of them. Like they were even doing Matrix type shots in the film that it doesn't need because it's not that it's not that good of a movie. But in the end, they had so many cameras that were so cheap. They had over 300 hours of footage. Yeah. These guys would go on to do Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've seen that, that's where we're at. But Crank, I would say it's visually assaulting.
Wait, that's my job.
Quentin Tarantino called Crank 2 the Gremlins 2 of action films. It was so funny because Shelby couldn't look at it because it is so visually like coming at you. There's so much, and they don't use the screen really well. It's so close up, like it's so in your face in every shot that it's tough to watch. But she's such a fan, like you. She's such a fan of Napoleon Dynamite, and the actor that plays Pedro shows up in it.
Oh, and wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, but like there's an actor from one of your favorite films, like stay for that. She just like zoned out and had the Taylor Swift concert that was being live streamed from people at the concert. And she was just, because you can't hear because people are just singing. So she would just try to see what, like she was doing different stuff. She would rather watch that bad quality on her phone than this entire film. And I discovered that the essence of what Crank 2 is just, it's like when you take a sketch comedy film and you just have a bunch of sketches and you try to weave them together with a really bad plot. That's what this is, because it is action sequence. It is racist. It is misogynist. It is, it is the product of the 2000s. It is an action film with nothing redeemable in it. But it's so weird to watch that it exists and has a sequel. And they're working on a third one. The third one's been rumored. It's insane. It is an insane film. But if you want to see what the early 2000s were like, Crank 1 and 2 pretty much sums it up, because they gave these guys money to make a movie, and it just made a little bit of money, but enough that they said, let's do a sequel, and enough that they were like, we'll do a third one if possible. And it's funny because Amy Smart, who plays the mom on Stargirl, is like a stripper in this film.
Oh my God.
She's the love interest.
Of course. Yeah. Nothing
But
screams early aughts like that. So
yeah, but just like the Raoul Dahl, info I got in Fantastic Mr. Fox that bummed me out, this was one of Corey Haim's last films. He's in the movie, and you're just kind of like it makes you kind of sad because during this time things were not going well. So, Crank 2 High Voltage. I don't know where that would stand in film history, but it's essentially these guys built or what they the way they were filming helped develop the red camera that I know James Gunn has talked about that he used on a lot of films because it's a small high def camera he can get into spaces and do stuff with. Crank 2 is an example of like how you can do that, but you do it throughout the whole film and it doesn't really give you great shots.
Right.
They shot it like a TV show. So, and I talked way too much about Crank, but I had such a fun time watching people die in that movie.
I think my one regret about Crank 2 is that if there was ever a second film in a series that deserved the subtitle Electric Boogaloo, it is that movie. And I can't believe they didn't go with it. So.
Pull this one, Daniel. Pull this one.
So I did remember, I have watched something else, but I can't remember if I talked about it on the show yet. So if I have, stop me. But I have got to recommend the Netflix series Kunk on Earth.
We started that.
Oh man.
But we didn't finish it.
It is so like we watched it as a whole family because it is an acquired taste, right? You have to really like the way that British humor goes from like droll to absurd like that, Yeah. And it's not the type of show, at least for me, that you can put on in the background because you've really got to pay attention or you'll miss a lot of jokes because they're just sort of like thrown in there very kind of dryly. But man, that show is, I can't think of a more pitch perfect parody of just every BBC style documentary talking head history show, right? It's so good.
It gave me Ali G vibes.
Yes, and I kept thinking of Ali G too, except I think where Ali G is very much a character given these moments with real people, the inversion of Kunk on Earth is that she presents herself like a standard documentary host.
Yeah.
And then
like
just ends up asking a bunch of weird, absurd shit. So, yeah.
What you would expect from, like, the British. Like,
yes,
this is
exactly.
Serious documentary. This is...
I mean, she's basically wearing the best Doctor Who outfit, right? I mean, if you look at what she's wearing throughout the whole series, it's just basically like a Doctor Who outfit, which I love. But anyway, that's the only other thing I've really watched recently, so...
Oh, so you're not watching Mando?
No, I'm so behind. I haven't finished the first season of Mandalorian.
Oh,
I'm like 2 episodes away. I know. And I have to watch that. I have to watch Andor. It's partly I know that so much of this is the quality Star Wars experience that I kind of want to save it up, So I need to watch it.
Yeah, they're just adding more mythology to the Mandalorians. Katie Sackhoff is in it, and so she's fun because she's playing someone not necessarily aligned with the ideas of the Mandalorian. So there's like these different versions of it. There's a history and a mythology that they go through. But I'm so glad that she's on the show again, and I think she's fantastic and a great addition. But I love getting more history of like the Mandalorians and where they're from and what he has to do to rejoin them, because I won't tell you because you haven't watched the first season. So
no, sorry.
In fact, you know what, because you said you're going to watch Last of Us, you should watch Last of Us side by side with the Mandalorian because it does pay off with the Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, I just need more Pedro Pascal in my life. Dude, I'm like a daily.
I watched him on First We Feast this past week. He did an interview. Do you ever watch First We Feast where they eat hot wings and do interviews? Oh my god, dude!
I've never even heard of this, but
I love the show. It's fantastic because he'll get people to start breaking down when the hot hits. Because it's basically 10 wings, 10 different sauces that go all the way up, and then like halfway through it starts to really affect people. and so, but he does great questions though. He does deep dives on stuff, so it's really interesting. I will tell you my favorite one where things just go wrong with eating the hot wings is the Bobby Lee interview.
Okay.
But the Pedro Pascal may be one of my favorite ones because he's just a great interview. He's so humble and just, a neat guy to hear talk about the shit he's dealing with and the jobs he's done and stuff and just the work he's done. You go, this guy's done all this shit and he's just so humble. Like, it's just amazing.
God, that's incredible. I love it. Love it.
I don't have anything else. You want to get in the main topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I don't know how to transition to this. In the Wayne's World.
Yeah, exactly.
For all you old fuckers that get that reference.
Like me.
Okay, so we got this announcement. I'm going to go ahead and share this.
Oh,
I'm going to
so weird.
This is amazing though, but I want to play Danny's version of it so we can watch him because he's so excited. And I thought it would be funny for us to talk about Zack Snyder while he's not here because he gets so excited.
He'd be so pissed. I still hope he's in chat.
Yeah, I do too, because I would love to hear his comments because it's not going to be as excited as this guy right here. All right.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear from the
Damn it. Are you getting an echo?
No.
Next Issue Podcast with some breaking news. Zack Snyder just sent out a teaser video on his Twitter and social media. Let's go check it out.
April 28th, 29th, and 30th. Save the date.
So a message from Lord Darkseid as seen on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Check it out here.
And a life is found, Assad, and we will stop at nothing to possess it. Ready the Armada. We will use the old ways.
But I'm interested because James Gunn and Peter Safran are definitely open to Elseworlds in all sorts of directions. So let me know what you think all this means down in the comments.
All right. So, Lord Darkseid, I actually think of any character in all of comics, Darkseid could actually start a cult.
Yeah.
Because so many people love him and his evilness and have loved the Zack Snyder version of him. So this setup for Darkseid, what do you think? What do you think this is going to be about the Save the Date?
Well, okay, so this is very particular to me, but I am 99% certain that this is going to be Zack Snyder's Ambush Bug.
Oh, yeah.
So from the original Ambush Bug miniseries, every issue ended with Ambush Bug encountering Darkseid, or my favorite, Darkseid at the McDonald's. So yeah,
it's not a sponsor of this show.
No, it's not going to be, and frankly, I wouldn't want him anywhere near Ambush Bug. I
would love to see it, but I would have a different pitch.
Which would be? I'm curious now.
What would a Zack Snyder Ambush Bug look like?
Well, it's going to be all in black and white. It's going to be dark and gritty. It's going to use a lot of CGI. I'm making Danny hate me so much right now.
I mean, to me, it would be amazing. Like obviously, there's some hint at the Snyderverse and Darkseid existing continually under the James Gunn administration, or whatever you want to call it.
James Gunn administration.
The Gunn administration, we'll call it that.
Raised our taxes, refused to let Henry Cavill be Superman. God damn them.
I love that because if I was James Gunn, I'd be like, fuck it, we're gonna have every Superman. I'm just gonna have a movie called Supermen, and it will have Brandon Routh, the CGI, Christopher Reeve, and it would just be them sitting talking, and then they would all kill Dean Cain at the end because they would discover he's the worst Superman.
Oh, okay,
That's my Superman pitch.
I'm kind of in. I kind of want to see Supermen. Yeah,
I just think Zack Snyder has developed such this look, this dark universe, and obviously it's got issues like Ezra Miller. I don't think after this Flash movie we're getting a Flash sequel or Ezra Miller in anything.
I mean, I have high hopes for the Flash movie, but I think they just need to cut ties with Ezra Miller. Well, and didn't Gunn say like really nobody from that version of the DCEU is going to show up in the new stuff?
Yeah, but there's always a fan base for it. I mean,
right?
Batman '89 exists because there's a fan base that grew up with that version of Batman and love it. And there's parts of like this is the first version of Darkseid and some of these heroes. I mean, this is the best Aquaman we've ever seen.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no, I'll give you that. And I like really both Wonder Woman movies. So I like Godot, which I know DC spoiled itself. Did you see that with the upcoming Shazam 2?
What?
That they themselves spoiled that Godot appears as Wonder Woman in it.
Oh, she does? Oh, fuck. Now I want to get out and see it more.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I did want to see it, but like, I feel like we're at a point that we know that this universe isn't going to continue in some way, but like, I would love to see a Zack Snyder universe that was Darkseid led. Like, this is the universe that fails, and the remaining heroes that it has, the only bastions of hope would be Zachary Levi's Shazam, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I would love to see an ambush bug version that exists in his universe. Like the ones that you don't expect. Like you wouldn't expect an ambush bug to exist. Like when you see the end of the Justice League movie and you see the Jared Leto Joker with the Batman. Like shit like that is fun. Like, but what if Darkseid is the ruler of the Snyderverse and he uses that and he just starts to destroy other multiverses to take them over one by one? Like he isn't just looking for a snap. He loves the pure violence of destruction. And that's the Snyderverse is a Darkseid led army of apocalypse going through the multiverse. We see Orion, Granny Goodness. We get all the great apocalypse stuff. Like we get the look, the feel, and we have just a band of refugee heroes that are made up of the remaining. You're going to have the King of Atlantis. You're going to have the Amazonian warriors. Like not just Wonder Woman. Like we have seen so much of the Amazon warriors that you could do cool shit with if they were part of like a Justice League. And really, this would be a Justice League Adventures Forever is.
Right.
A Justice League version that is the Justice League multiverse. And you could just have them pick up heroes along the way. Because wouldn't you shit your pants if you had a Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, a Shazam, and then you pulled up Ollie from the CW and you had a Green Arrow with Stephen Amell, and you put him into the Snyderverse as like the CW universe collapses and is destroyed, or you bring in White Canary and some of the Legends of Tomorrow, like who are lighter, funner characters in such a dark place. The only part I will say that would be tough for that is Zack Snyder doesn't write women really well, and you got to have White Canary. I want to see some of the team that was in the last season. I think that if you have the Snyderverse, you let Darkseid rule it, and he is the big bad, and he goes through killing multiverses. I think that would be the funnest way to see this play out.
And I feel like that is perhaps the most likely, because the thing that's increasingly becoming clear about the Flash movie is it's being used as a way to end the DCEU and set up James Gunn and Safran's DCU, right?
Yeah.
But in doing so, it is also clearly mishmashing multiverses. So, and actually looking at the dates that he posted, when does the Flash come out? Is it this summer? Is it after April, or is it before that announcement?
I don't know.
Because I'm just like, I'm curious if he's timing that announcement in such a way that it's very clearly going to spin off of the Flash movie.
It says June 16th.
Oh, then that's like 2 months afterwards. But I just okay. So first off, which won't happen, but if they give Snyder Ambush Bug and not James Gunn, I'm going on a fucking rampage. All right, because of the two of them, James Gunn is far better, like, equipped to manage Ambush Bug. Just saying.
He takes weird characters and makes them fun.
Right.
I mean, Rocket, Groot are weird fucking characters.
Yeah.
Mantis is weird, and she's in the holiday special kicking ass, and it's so fun. Like, I love her.
So, sorry. So it's like, I just want to know what Snyder is doing with this. Now, I have two. I've got one theory, and one theory is it's actually, as much as I would love to see what you're proposing, I think. I suspect Snyder is a big fan of the Fourth World stuff. And
wow.
Yeah. I bet that the higher ups at HBO could give two shits about the Fourth World. So I wonder if he's just lobbying to basically get the Fourth World, which is why this is an announcement from Lord Darkseid, right? Like, he's going all in on, like, we're doing the Fourth World. That's going to be, I don't want to say the continuation of the Snyderverse, but a kind of ancillary of the Snyderverse, right? We're not going to get any of the characters that have appeared before, except Darkseid and, like, all the CGI ones from the Justice League, which I had to look up, right? Unlike, I'm sorry?
I like Steppenwolf and...
Right. So, unlike Thanos in the MCU that had an actor behind everything, yes. Darkseid just has a voice. It's Ray Porter. And I really wonder if he brought back Ray Porter to do that announcement, or what I suspect is that's just Zack Snyder using, modulation.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what worries me about Zack Snyder, right? But anyway, all that aside, do I want a Zack Snyder Fourth World? No. Because when you think of Kirby's design of the Fourth World, it is color and, like,
it
energy,
has layers,
crackle, and just... And Snyder's is going to be this muted CGI, right? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, do I want Snyder doing Mr. Miracle? No. There's just a lot about the Fourth World that I would really want to hand to someone like.
But, like, let's say you do a Mr. Miracle story, and when you do those flashbacks to Apocalypse, to me, on some level, like, I kind of like his dark, burning version of Apocalypse.
Which, like, you're right. That would work.
That works.
I agree. Yeah. No, that's a fair point.
And he does do good villains in a sense that, like, I mean, they're fun. Like, Jesus Christ, like, it's Darkseid, but he doesn't give them many layers. Like, that's kind of the problem. They're very, like, one-hit wonders.
Right.
But it just depends if he gives them a direction. Like, I would love him to say, like, look, let the Darkseid is the only thing left from the Snyderverse other than these hero time travelers that are trying to defeat him as he is destroying multiverse after multiverse.
What if, this just struck me, what if it's not even a live action thing? He's doubling down on CGI. What if this is just a Fourth World animated series?
Oh, wow. Right? Okay.
Which I would kind of be into. Now, again, I haven't seen, what was the one movie he made with the actor from Heroes that I've heard is not good, but wasn't that like 90% like CGI and animated? What the fuck is that movie called?
I'm trying to think which.
It came out after 300, but before Man of Steel. Hang on, I'll find it.
Watchmen. Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Sucker Punch is visually like fucking amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm wondering, right? Like I could see him really doing a fascinating kind of fourth world story, right? But it's gonna have to be in its own pocket universe because I don't think HBO and Gunn and Safran are not gonna want Snyder anywhere near shit they're doing.
You know the ship that the Authority drives through the bleed runs on a pocket universe, right?
No, I didn't know that. Really?
Yes.
That's cool.
So the ship that the Authority uses, that Gunn has said the Authority will show up in his universe, runs on the bleed, and the bleed is the area between multiverses.
Interesting.
And the engine is a pocket universe.
Interesting. Okay.
That would be weird if that was the engine that drives the ship of the Authority.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
I will say Sucker Punch visually stylish, and I used to defend it by saying it was like the female Brazil. Like if you've ever seen Terry Gilliam's Brazil,
oh yeah,
it's that. But when you look at how, I don't know, like it's tough to say. Like the women are really fucking treated poorly, but then again, so is the main character in Brazil. But it's just so, I don't know, man. It's just so vicious in Sucker Punch.
Yeah, see, and I don't know. I'm kind of coming around to this, like Zack Snyder's Fourth World.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it as an antagonist to the multiverse, and that's about it. Like, obviously, it's in some realm, Darkseid is victorious.
Right.
And I've said this before. One of my favorite moments in comics is Earth 2, and this is the Grant Morrison, Frank Quietly version when Luthor steps through the portal and says, "Take me to your superheroes." Like, I kind of would dig the idea that what if we saw like a John Cryer, Lex Luthor show up and say, "Take me to your heroes," because he knows Darkseid is coming.
Yeah.
Like instead of Hulk saying Thanos is coming, what if Lex Luthor is like Darkseid is coming and he's scared? You know,
man. Oh wow. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're gonna end up disappointed in whatever this announcement is.
Because, because we're throwing out all the fan, like
exactly.
We're just fanboys who want to see cool shit. You know, I mean, to see the army of Darkseid from Apocalypse killing multiverses that we've seen to kind of build whatever Gunn wants.
Yeah.
Would be amazing, because what if that is a series that's ongoing and you see him kill the CW universe and because we know like the Stargirl show is ending and that universe
Flash is ending this season,
and you could kill the universes and keep the heroes and keep some of the same characters and make them part of like a team that is trying to save what's left and what Darkseid's doing.
Okay, so are they so it sounds like kind of what you're proposing would be a sort of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's going to end everything and get us to the new Gunn and Safran going forth, right?
Yeah, but I would like to say it's always a threat. Like maybe they're able to stop it, but like I wouldn't want to stop a Darkseid versus, like, you know, obviously he would run into a Darkseid of that same universe and he would either destroy him or does he want to be the all-powerful?
Right.
Does he want to be the only one? I don't know, man. Like, there's just a lot of cool ideas. And I think that if I'm going to save stuff from the Snyderverse, I'm saving Wonder Woman, because I think Wonder Woman's such a hard part to cast. Gal Gadot has done such a great job. Yep. The action sequences are still good. People shit on 84, but we got a Pedro Pascal Max Lord that was fucking awesome.
I mean, 84 is not nearly as good as the first film.
Right.
It's not a bad film. I mean, the bad part of 84 is unfortunately Cheetah.
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine is great in it.
Well, yeah, but it's the weird, like, we're going to bring you back to the body.
Yeah, there's a whole ickiness there that, you know.
Yeah, and they could fix fucking Cheetah. Like, it's a CGI problem.
Right.
Like, for God's sakes, I mean, look what Marvel's been able to do. Bring that shit over. Like, bring your CGI in-house.
Yeah.
Own all your models and animators. Don't outsource it. If you can do that, it seems like that would cut down on having to do new models of these characters every time. If you had that stuff in-house, WB just has problems itself because it's being run by a guy who doesn't care about TV shows or entertainment. He cares about reality shows and low-cost production and high revenue.
And the bottom line, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so...
although I would think, I mean, to your point, bringing the CGI in-house has a higher upfront cost, but I would think going forward, it would lower costs, right? You're not having to outsource everything.
Yeah. But then you get into questions about unionizing and all the problems that the visual effects artists have right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, what would Zack Snyder's Justice League, I feel like you're not going to have Ben Affleck. You're not going to have Ezra Miller. I think if you had that universe remaining, what would you have if you had an Aquaman who's lost his kingdom? Amazons who've lost their home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who else I'd like to say from that universe, but I mean, I would put those two at the forefront as the leaders of a team trying to defeat this guy. But I think you really need to have more than just a voice actor behind the character.
That was kind of where my head was going to. You can't just, but I don't think Snyder's going to do that is the problem. I don't think he doesn't seem to be the sort of director that wants, he's like a George Lucas, right? He's somebody who has the vision and sees what he wants, and let's just CGI that, right? Like we don't need humans in there. Let's just CGI it. And so yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, because he's good at it. I mean, if you look at a movie like, The Army of the Dead, he was able to take an entire actor. Like we forget there was an actor that got replaced by Tig Notaro in that entire film. She never saw any of the actors she worked with. Wow. She did it all after the film had been done, and they plugged her in. Like, that's how fucking good he is. But then you look at some of the DC mistakes and you go, like, how come you can't make this look good? Or how come your world looks like just a big green screen all the time? Like, have some practical effects, some real buildings, some real things to play off of.
I'm still pissed that he placed Metropolis and Gotham right next to each other. Like, that still angers the hell out of me.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? That doesn't make any sense at all. At all.
Makes no sense.
That would be like Dallas and Fort Worth were Metropolis.
Yes, exactly.
And Dallas is Gotham. Believe me, Dallas is the shithole.
I'm not going to argue with you there. Dallas definitely is Gotham. Fort Worth is definitely Metropolis. So,
I'm trying to think of the other benefits of it. I don't know what like Harley Quinn from these movies is still, I feel like Margot Robbie is great at it, and I know that there's been stories that James Gunn's talked to her. Who knows? But like, if you don't keep her, I feel that's a real loss because she loves the character and has come back and done it time and time again.
Yeah, and she was great, and so far is the only character. Well, the only actor as a character to transcend the Snyder into the Gunverse, right? I mean, if we assume Gunn is keeping Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Right? Peacemaker. Fuck.
And again, another survivor of that universe could be a Peacemaker that's a very dark Snyder version of Peacemaker. Oh, and like not John Cena, maybe we get someone else. Like, I mean,
I kind of keep feeling like so Pie in the Sky, if HBO is going to legitimately allow Snyder to dabble in their properties again, it is going to be to basically wrap it all up and destroy it.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's kind of where the Darkseid thing is. Like it's in no way going to dovetail with the new stuff. It is simply going to be, we're giving you the opportunity to just wrap it up and kill it. Right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't think we will get any continuation of even Godot or what's his face is Aquaman. Wow, my brain is shot this morning.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. How come I can't think of it either?
You know, our favorite guy from
Kyle Pedia's not here.
Fast and Furious 10.
Yes, Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa, yes. So I don't think we get any continuation of any of those characters after. I mean, again, this is pie in the sky after what it is, but who knows? This could be like a fucking audio book. We have no idea, right? Like Zack Snyder's, end of the DCEU, the audio book, I don't know. It's just, oh, sorry, my dogs are going nuts.
Oh, that's okay. The other thing that we have here is a weird question. We know that in the DC comics, the Watchmen have now kind of crossed over in the DCU. We had the Doomsday Clock and stuff. So we have Snyder's version of Watchmen too.
Yeah.
Would Gunn let him play with Watchmen in that world of Darkseid?
Okay, so do we want that crossover, right?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think it would lead to, a Dr. Manhattan that maybe, like we saw in the TV series, would be the only survivor.
Right, and isn't he the linchpin of Doomsday Clock anyway? Right?
Yeah.
But I would hate for them then to dismiss the HBO series, because that series was so good.
Right. I feel like that's the surviving Dr. Manhattan. Like maybe that's the version, even though that's a different version, because in that version is the Squid version. That's the Squid ending.
God, I don't know anymore. I don't know.
I know it overlaps so much. It's a lot to kind of just take in. And I even, when I went to go look up Jason Momoa as Aquaman, I forget Willem Dafoe is in it. And it's like, God damn, man, like, that dude's so fucking good. Why is he playing this waste of a character in Aquaman?
I know.
Shit.
I know. It's such a shame. It constantly. I'm constantly impressed how badly DC screwed the pooch with this entire universe, because they were so desperate to catch up with Marvel.
Yeah.
And again, we've said time and again, the standout movies from the DCEU are not the Snyder ones, right? They are the Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins. They are the first Shazam, right? They are, I haven't seen them yet, but I hear the Aquaman men's are very good, right? And those are
Aquaman, yeah.
What's his name? Sorry, hang on.
What? Oh, someone's yeah, I mean, I'm looking
right
at
outside my window.
Willem Dafoe and going, God damn, like, I feel like he was kind of wasted in Aquaman. I would bring him back as another villain in DC, but like, fuck, who? I don't know, man. Like, I'd love to recast some of these people. Obviously, like Patrick Wilson was reused from, Night Owl to Ocean Master, which is a weird casting. But like, it gives you a chance to kind of recycle these people and do it again. Like, you could really, I think, use Willem Dafoe in a much better role. I think Darkseid shows up and immediately kills Mira to make Aquaman mad. So that's how you deal with Mira.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I would love to see an Aquaman, a king without a kingdom, fighting Darkseid. Jason Momoa continuing. But I know that he's talked with Gunn, and there's been rumors of Momoa playing Lobo, which is very interesting.
That makes makes a ton of sense. So maybe, like you're saying, they just pull the actors and give them new things. So they're not just tied to this one role, right?
Yeah.
And then that frees Gunn up to maybe recast, which we know he's doing for Superman, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I would love to see the poster for this be the Crisis #7 George Perez cover, but maybe it's not Superman holding Supergirl. Like, who would you love to see Darkseid kill that would make such an impact? Like,
it's going to be
in that.
Wonder Woman holding Aquaman.
Whoa! What the? Gal Gadot holding Jason Momoa.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Fuck!
Because you can't kill Wonder Woman. I'm sorry. Yeah, if anyone's going to die, it's going to be Aquaman.
Well, I mean, we saw in the Flashpoint animated, like, there's the Aquaman and Wonder Woman face off in the animated film that's really fucking good. Like, if anyone hasn't seen that, like, to see a king lead his, kingdom against the Amazonians and those two battle, that's just the best thing I've ever seen of those two, because it shows them from where they come from more than anything, and becoming that king and that leader or that warrior for their people. Let's see here. Do you have any plans to see Shazam 2?
I would like to.
I love Zachary Levi, and I hate that this hasn't been a bigger deal.
I know. So I'm kind of excited for it, mainly because I like him. I like the way they've done that character.
Yeah,
I like
really good.
the Marvel family that they brought in. I'm just kind of curious what they're going to do with it. And quite frankly, I like seeing, I like seeing villains that are, these actors. Like, I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. Now, Hazel and I enjoy.
I'm going to give you the mic because I got to step away for a second.
Oh yeah, it's fine. My daughter and I enjoyed the first movie a lot. But she doesn't really remember it, so we need to rewatch it before we go see this new Shazam movie. I was trying to think what else. But yeah, no, I'm kind of hyped for it. While I figure out what to do here, I do want to promote. I picked up this book, DC through the 80s. This is volume 2, called The Experiments. And it's a really interesting kind of compilation of just how innovative DC was in the 80s, especially under editors like Karen Berger. It's a great book. It has essays by Paul Levitz, who I believe was editor-in-chief at the time at DC. But it has, examples like My Favorite Ambush Bug. But also, I guess you have to go with Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, but you also have Camelot 3000. That was very interesting. I hope I got that right. I've always meant to read it. Watchmen, of course, over here, Swamp Thing. Anyway, just a really great book, and I'm really excited to finally kind of read all these things. Because for me, this was the era where I was not into DC comics. I was almost exclusively a Marvel reader in the 80s, and except for Ambush Bug. Ambush Bug was the one that I just fell in love with. But I rediscovered a lot of these when I got back into comics in the 90s, and kind of became more of a DC fan, because boy howdy, Marvel was rough in that era. Discovered Dark Knight Returns, discovered Vertigo, discovered all this stuff. And so it's very, very interested to kind of revisit the stuff in between. Like I always heard like Amethyst as a series was really good, but I never read it. So that's in here. Thank God.
Shelby does love Amethyst.
Yes. So I'm not sure if you saw, I was promoting this book that I picked up at Zeus this week, which is volume 2 of DC through the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's just like example issues from this is the experiment. So it's all like the experimental stuff, including Ambush Bug, which I love. I guess I should say Zeus Comics is having their spring sale. So like graphic novels,
40% off.
Toys are 40% off. So I got this for 40% off. because
Dude.
I am a cheapskate.
I have not been to Zeus in so long. I miss it.
It's great. I like Richard and the team there. I always make a twofer, so I go in to get my weekly comics and I'll pop over to Common Ground Games, kind of see what's new. So
Yeah.
sorry, they are right outside my window.
Oh, that's okay. I have
doing yard
breaking
work.
news. Shelby has COVID.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was like, she should have left for work by now. Something's going on. And so I ran in there and she's like, stay away. I just took a COVID test. And I'm like, we don't go anywhere. We don't do anything.
I know, but you know, she does work, so probably all the people coming through work is. I'm so sorry.
So she's sequestered herself into the bedroom, and so I got to avoid her. God. I mean, and as most people, you may not know, like I've been home for 4 years. I haven't really gone anywhere. Like I quit my job like a year before the pandemic and was like looking for another job and staying at home. And then the pandemic hit, and then I got really sick and I had to stay home. Like I stopped driving. So I've been at home for like 4 years. So it's been easy for me to avoid other than, you know, her going to work and back. So this is, so I guess.
Have you gotten COVID before or not? Oh man. All right. Yeah. Stay far away then. So
yeah.
Well, if you guys need anything, let us know.
I mean, it wasn't bad enough to have some kidney stone pains. Now throw this at me, but maybe this is the one that finally gives me some superpowers, you know?
I'm just saying, go take that COVID test, pop it in the microwave, right? And then lick it. And I'm sure you're going to get something. So
I'm just going to throw a bunch of bugs in the microwave and let them all bite me and see what turns out.
You're like, why did I only throw centipedes in here? Fuck. I have to
cockroach man.
Centipede.
Oh, the human centipede. That would be a villain in the Snyderverse.
Yes, no, that's true. That's absolutely true. Oh man. Well, all right. Well, should we do Rex and?
Yeah, I want to do a trailer reaction because
that's right.
I have this one I wanted to pull because it just is the weirdest fucking vibe. Well, you'll recognize the voices, but it's Will Forte is the main character. Let me share my screen and we'll watch this. And where are we at 137? We'll pull it.
Oh, Strays. That's right. Okay.
Today is going to be the best day ever. I love sunshine. I love butterflies. But more than anything, I love Doug.
Hey! Shut the fuck up!
That's Doug, the best owner in the world. We're playing this game called Fetch and Fuck.
Fetch!
He drops me off really far away and drives home without me. When I bring the ball back, he says, fuck. That's how I know I won the game.
Hey, honey.
Oh, no.
You've been Afghan before?
I don't think so, but thank you.
Take it from me, kid. He left your ass.
Oh, that can't be right.
You are officially astray.
That would mean Doug doesn't love me.
Poor little guy.
I should probably talk to him. I am a therapy dog.
Reg, you can learn how beautiful it can be when you're off the leash.
This beer is making me dizzy.
It's about to get real dizzy up in this bitch.
I'm having a great time.
This motherfucker right here. What you want? Huh, homie? You little bitch-ass friend with the motherfucking home perm and shit.
What did you just say?
Hey,
I would hate for this to get violent.
You ashamed. You can do anything you want.
I'm back to Doug's.
What?
The fuck, man?
And he needs to pay for what he did with the only thing he truly loves. I'm gonna bite his dick off.
Oh.
Wait, did he just say bite?
Yeah, I'm still a little drunk, but
I said I'm gonna bite his dick off.
Oh, we gon' fuck shit up. Motherfucker, you don't know me like that.
Big day today.
You ever humped anything before?
I wouldn't say I've humped, per se.
There you go, Red.
I'm doing good.
Tell that gnome you're his daddy.
Hey, Gnome, I'm your father. It's good to finally meet you,
Reggie.
even under these strange circumstances.
Reggie.
We're completely lost.
Why?
And my little puppy paw pads are
Why
really
does
hurting
this
right now. So
exist?
how exactly could this get worse? Holy fuck!
Oh, shit.
Guys, we've got a dick to rip off.
Y'all know me like that.
What are those?
Looks like food. Oh shit. Give me a second.
You look different.
Shit, you look different too.
How so? Is it my human hands?
Oh god, that looks great.
That I know, but like, what the fuck? The story is a dude who ditches his dog, and the dog wants to go back to bite his dick off. Someone went to a Hollywood meeting and said, "I got this," and we got Jamie Foxx, we got Will Ferrell, we got
Academy
Will
Award
Forte.
winning Jamie Foxx.
Did you like Ray? If you loved Ray, you're gonna love Strays.
Wow.
Fuck was that?
All right, I'm in though. I'm in. That looks really fun.
I know, but I love seeing your face when he was ditching the dog, because
It's so sad. Oh my
it is
god.
the saddest thing, and you're just like, why is this happening? And why? And then the revenge is to bite his dick off.
You know, this kind of feels like the type of movie that would have been made in the 80s, but they didn't have the technology, right?
Yes.
Just, I mean, the whole plot, it feels like a very, 1980s kind of idea. So
Yeah, like, well, we're gonna take the Benji movies and make it a hard R movie. Like,
Right,
it's just
exactly.
gonna be very violent and disturbing.
Exactly.
A lot of drug use. I mean, it's just so weird. It's so funny because I look at like the Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is obviously like a kids movie, and that was the first movie that used smoking as a warning. Like there was smoking
Really?
in the movie. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, well, it's just a kids movie though. But now we have stray dogs who are going to violate people's nether regions. Let's finish up with recommendations, and then I have one other comment. So what do you got?
Yeah, I'll go. So mine is the other day during spring break, my brother and niece came into town, and many years ago, probably a decade ago, my brother and I, with my daughter, went to the National Video Game Museum in Frisco.
And it's awesome.
And it's amazing. And apparently he'd been telling his daughter, my niece, about this ever since. So they came into town and we all went again. Man, that place rocks. It is really great. It's not super expensive. I think at like the top, it's like $12 a person. But they give you like $1 of coins because at the end of the museum is just an arcade.
Yeah.
Like a classic arcade. And you can get more while you're there. But throughout the museum, sorry, my dogs are just
they hated the Stray trailer just as much as I did.
Wow, yeah. No, we have this perfect storm of like yard work going on and my dog's barking, and it's just like it's madness. Anyway, throughout the museum, they have all these different game setups that kind of mirror the history of video gaming. So like you walk in, the first thing is like a human-sized Pong machine.
Yes.
Right. But then they have like a whole row of like computer home systems, each one with a different game set up on it. And you can play all of this. So I impressed everyone by sitting down on the Sega Dreamcast with the official Dreamcast keyboard playing the Typing of the Dead. And let me tell you, I suck at standard first-person shooters, but I can touch type like a goddamn fiend. And I was killing it on that game. So
that is a fun game. Yeah, I've been there. It is fun, and it has the visuals are cool. We were a buddy of mine's in town, Mike, with his son, and he was talking. He's like, I want to go to this video game place, and we thought he was talking about that, but he was talking about taking his kid to like Nickel-Rama or some of the cheaper arcades. We were like, but at this video game museum, there is an 80s room.
Yes.
Like, it's like the wood paneling, and it's like what I grew up in.
Yes,
and you had like the big CRT TV and the video game system. I mean, it's almost just a Gen X homage because of what we grew up with.
And it's funny because I don't know if the label had always been there, but there's now a label there saying that when they, I guess before they set up the museum, they traveled a lot of the exhibits, and that one was their most popular. Like the 1980s living room was the most popular thing that ever traveled because it completely dismantles what you think the 80s look like, right? The 80s are basically a holdover from the 70s. Everything was like shag carpeting, wood paneling. Like it was not a pretty time to live. So
it wasn't the neon everyone thinks.
No.
Everyone thinks like, oh, well, it was like Miami Vice and the pastels and everything. Like, no. It was brown.
Yeah, everything was brown.
And you know, I don't think, I mean, even our computers, when we start getting home computers in the 90s, were brown, and we didn't even see color until like the iMacs.
The iMacs, yeah. Yeah, they were taupe. Every computer was like a nasty brownish white.
Yeah. To me, the best part of that place is just the import games, seeing stuff that were in other countries, things that we didn't get to play. Those are really cool. Just the game systems I had, like, you know, I have most of my game systems. I still have my box that my Atari, an Atari. It wasn't my Atari because this is a Sears one. And then I have a Commodore 64 box from when I got my Commodore 64 at Dillard's for $600.
Wow, $600 for a C64?
Yeah.
God, I thought they were cheaper. Well, they did come down in price eventually, right?
Yeah. But I think the coolest part is just looking at like just like how the games built off each other. You'll have fans of just like certain particular games that you may not have ever seen. But yeah, it's a really cool place to go to. My recommendation this week is Josh's book that we did for Comic Book Club.
Thank you again for doing that.
I don't own a physical copy of this, but this is Adrian Tomine.
I've always
That's
said
the worst part of this. In the book. This is The Loneliness of the Long Distance Cartoonist, and this is every kind of cringe moment diary. Like he just had like moments that were just cringeworthy. Scott's Tots of The Office got nothing on this book. Like it is autobiographical moments from his life dealing with shit. And, you know, I love seeing it from when he's an early guy who's being compared to Dan Clowes, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and but I mean, great comparison. I mean, to me, both are storytellers of our generation. You know, it's just a great fun read, but the design of it will probably make my book of the year because of the moleskin look and feel, the graph paper, and then you pointed out that there's additional just blank pages in the back.
There's blank pages in the back, so
if you want to use it, so
which I love.
If you love his storytelling, like Summer Blonde, basically Optic Nerve was his ongoing series that was adapted into Summer Blonde, and Sleepwalk with Me. Like I have the stories over here, which are a lot of single standalone stories that are great to read, but very rough. Very like this is good cringeworthy stuff, but like I've gone back and reread some of his stuff in there. And that's where I learned the term curb stomping.
Oh,
yeah. Like he has a story that's just a short story of what that is. And I'm like, ooh.
Yikes.
But he is a guy who really shares it all. Like at the end of the book, you see where he started writing this because of all these kind of awkward moments he's had as a creator, whether it be at conventions, book signings, just trying to have a meal with his girlfriend and the people next to him are talking about him and his books, and he has to listen to someone be a harsh critic of him, and he wants to say something but doesn't. It is so good. It's if you ever, and we've all had those cringeworthy social moments where we just go, this book is filled with them, and it's great how he dealt with it. He put it out and profited from it.
Nice.
And it probably is my favorite book of his.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's so funny because it's not what I thought it was, because I thought it was going to be like, these are the comics I made during COVID, right? Because of the title and kind of like the format, but it's not. As I flipped through it, the one sequence I read that I really liked is he's at the book signing and the lady brings a copy of Ghost World and she just insists he sign it. And he's like, but I'm not. Okay, whatever, just like.
And it's wild because I never thought of that. Like if you start doing he was an indie comics guy, you get compared to the best person out there,
right?
But like I put them both at the peak of their. Those '90s books and stuff were stuff I related to.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I loved about Optic Nerve is reading the issues. And the fact that for most of the early stories, they're not autobiographical, right? You have the one where he talks about his peanut allergy, but other than that, it's him just creating these slice of life stories, and they're very relatable but also powerful.
Yeah.
And I love that about early to mine. It's really just that one book of his I don't like, which Shortcomings.
Yeah, I know, and that's the one that I have a poster from.
Yeah, I don't have the book. I know. I don't know.
And most people may know his artwork from the New Yorker. That's where.
He and Chris Ware both do a lot of work for the New Yorker now. They'll do covers. So
yeah, Chris Ware, who Jimmy Corrigan.
Yeah,
the design of that book is I would say it's to the level of this or beyond because it's so intricate in the book cover and everything about it. I love Jimmy Corrigan, but man, it's a bummer.
It is very much a bummer. Yeah.
I think we should have an episode where we just pull out the saddest books of comics. And Jimmy Corrigan is top 2.
Yeah, I agree.
But okay. Last thing I wanted to say, rest in peace, Lance Riddick.
Yeah, I saw that.
He passed away this week and caught a lot of people off guard. In fact, the last thing, he was tweeting about his dogs. As your dogs are barking in the background, one of the tweets I saw was him just trying to record a video while his dogs are barking. But one of the more, he was in Fringe, he was in The Wire. He did voice acting for video games that I had not played, but I had seen friends of mine go, oh no, they were pointing out all the games that he had done. But he did the Eric Andre show, a willing participant of a scene that I will not show because it is wild. But if you look up Lance Riddick on the Eric Andre show, you will see an amazing scene that I will not show you here.
Okay, I'm kind of worried now.
And Neil Gaiman posted Rachel Pollack is very sick, and she was an author. We would know her work from Doom Patrol. She took over for Grant Morrison.
Yep.
After his epic run on that, and she is in very poor health. And
she's also a tarot expert, right? Did she work on that Vertigo tarot with Gaiman?
Yeah, probably. I didn't even tie that together, but when I pulled up her name, I saw all the tarot stuff, and Shelby's a big into that, and may know her work from some of that because I went to go pull her books, and I don't have her collected Doom Patrol. The volumes that DC did were all the Grant Morrison ones, and I don't have the last Rachel Pollack ones. So let me see if I can pull this up because this is.
What? There was another Vertigo series she did, right? Because
she did another one.
I thought she did. I could be wrong though. Hang on. Comics, Doom Patrol. Maybe.
Did she do independent stuff? I know she was a sci-fi author that had separate credits on it. So
Oh, so she apparently did single issues of Brother Power the Geek.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. She did the first 11 issues of the 4th volume of New Gods. That's what I'm thinking of.
Wow.
Which I didn't read, but I just remember her working on it.
Oh, wow. Well, that's stuff we'll need to dig into and maybe do a show about her.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and take us out with some Lance Riddick, and see you later.
Guys,
thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see
here. And the beat goes on.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute me, familia.
Salute.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Twitter loves you.
Oh yeah. Clay.
Hell, Bebo.
Josh? Simon Center, get the fuck out.
All right. Bye.
All right.